Right now, nation-state adversaries are pulling massive amounts of encrypted data from the global internet. They cannot read it today, but they are playing a long game, known as harvest now, decrypt later. They are stockpiling our sensitive communications, waiting for the day a sufficiently powerful computer can break current encryption protocols. That day is approaching fast. China is actively executing a heavily funded 3, 5, and 10-year national roadmap to achieve quantum advantage. By leveraging massive geopolitical platforms like the Belt and Road Initiative, they aim to export and lock in their own cryptographic standards across international borders. To block this, the United States has drawn a strict line in the sand. Federal mandates now require all critical infrastructure and government agencies to complete a full migration to post-quantum cryptography, or PQC, by the years 2030 to 2031. The policy demands a fully quantum-proof digital defense within the decade. The problem is that the actual physical hardware required to run these next-generation calculations is nowhere near ready. We are currently in what physicists call the NISQ era, noisy intermediate-scale quantum. In this phase, quantum bits, or qubits, exist in highly delicate superpositions. They are incredibly sensitive. The slightest temperature shift or stray electromagnetic wave causes them to lose their quantum state entirely. To keep just one logical qubit stable enough to do actual math, you need hundreds or even thousands of physical qubits to detect and correct errors. This physical-to-logical ratio creates a massive hardware bottleneck. Maintaining that delicate state also requires extreme isolation. Current superconducting quantum processors must be kept inside dilution refrigerators, operating at sub-Kelvin temperatures, which is colder than deep space. This technical table shows the exact toll of quantum error correction. Looking at the physical qubit counts and error thresholds, you see the enormous overhead required to verify a single quantum operation. Scrolling down to the decoder complexity metrics, we see a secondary bottleneck, the immense classical computing power needed to correct these errors in real time. If securing our global supply chains and power grids requires waiting for this hardware to mature, we face a 10 to 15-year window where current encryption is vulnerable and the physical quantum defense simply does not exist. A 2026 paper by Joseph William Iko asks a highly practical question. To achieve the speed and scale of quantum computation, do we actually need the fragile physics of a quantum computer? Iko's research evaluates the oikonomia platform. It functions as a deterministic fractal reasoning substrate. In practical terms, it is a computational black box that executes highly complex mathematical transformations entirely on standard room-temperature commodity hardware. Consider Grover's algorithm. Historically, this is the quantum standard for searching an unstructured database. It works by running probabilistic quantum waves to amplify the correct answer, typically achieving massive speedups over classical guess-and-check methods. When tested against a Grover-style search of 1 million items, this new substrate hit the exact target deterministically in 0.0112 seconds. It bypassed the probabilistic quantum waves entirely, requiring only a fraction of a microjoule of energy to complete the task. Because this system operates on standard hardware without relying on probabilities, it provides a stable, de-risked bridge. We can process quantum-level workloads today, long before utility-scale quantum hardware arrives. Speed is only half the computational battle. The other major hurdle for quantum systems is signal degradation. When data streams encounter environmental noise, quantum calculations rapidly collapse into catastrophic failure. The substrate was subjected to a direct stress test, bombarding its input level with up to 5% random bit flip noise. It processed the corrupted input and returned a flawless, 100% accurate result in roughly 900 operations. We see the same stability in complex logistics. The Quantum Approximate Optimization Algorithm, or QAOA, is typically used to manage massive constraint spaces, like balancing a national power grid or routing defense supply chains. When handed a complex QAOA-style constraint workload, the substrate mapped and solved the optimal route in just 0.00103 seconds. In mission-critical logistics, where even a small probabilistic failure rate is a liability, this substrate provides a deterministic alternative, solving the optimization problem correctly the first time, without the need for repeated measurement shots. Zooming out, this efficiency addresses a second, parallel crisis in modern computing. The artificial intelligence industry is currently brute forcing its way to scale, draining power grids and driving inference costs to unsustainable levels. We are hitting the thermal limits of current von Neumann and GPU architectures. As transistors shrink, processors run so hot that portions of the chip must be powered down to prevent melting, a physical limitation known as dark silicon. By operating in the microjoule range, this deterministic substrate offers a highly efficient off-ramp. Routing complex search and optimization tasks away from power-hungry GPUs drastically cuts the thermal and energy load on data centers. This area chart maps out the immediate economic impact. The total addressable market spans $500 million to $1.5 billion over the next 5 years, driven heavily by federal PQC modernization, AI inference offloading, and defense security. As government agencies implement the new post-quantum cryptographic standards, the heavy computational weight of those algorithms will likely create new latency penalties. This substrate is designed to process that overhead securely, without degrading network speed. With microsecond latency and native noise resilience, this substrate acts as a high-speed execution environment for the 2030 transition, handling the computational overhead of new security protocols on the stable hardware we already have. It shows that we don't have to wait for the arrival of stable qubits to start solving our most complex problems.